Recording is again started. So, good morning to all of you. Today we are having our next resource person, Dr. Sandeep Raj. He is a member of IEEE. He received the BTech degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Allahabad Agriculture Institute, Deemed University, Allahabad, India in 2009. The PhD degree from the Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Patna, Vita, India in 2018. He received BSc Inspired Fellowship awarded by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India for pursuing PhD. He is currently serving as an assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, IIT Bhagalpur, since 2018. Prior to IIT Bhagalpur, he was teaching faculty with the NIT Patna in 2012. His current research interests include biomedical signal processing, embedded system, machine learning, and IoT, etc. Over to you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you for the introduction, sir. So, I am, as sir has informed you all, that I am Dr. Sandeep Raj, professor in the Department of Electronics Engineering. And before starting the hands-on program, let me inform you all that if you are not having the MATLAB, no need to worry. I will give you the sheet to practice. If you want to practice the whole session at your home, you can do it. So it will be consisting of two parts because many of the people may not be having the MATLAB software. So you can take the MATLAB software also, and then after you can practice this at your home. So today's topic is smart agriculture. So what is being smart in the agriculture? What we can do? So there are two keywords, intelligent and smart. So can anybody of you tell me that what will be good for one, whether it will be intelligent or smart? Why? Let me just remind you that this was a question asked in the interview of an assistant professor at NIT Patna. That which one is the best, intelligent or smart? The right answer is smart, and the question is why. So why it is means smart is more preferable than in comparison to being intelligent. What is the basic difference?
So smart means with the situation it can change itself.
Intelligent means, let me first of all go for the intelligence. So intelligence means you are studying in a semester, you are studying 4 to 6 papers. After studying 4 to 6 papers, you are giving exams. And the scores highlights your performance of being intelligent. As rightly said by Vikas, that smart is something that depends on the situation. Means one has to take decisions based on the situation. So the smart agriculture is a very big domain. In that domain, I am going to highlight the plant crop disease detection using it. So what I am going to do is I am going to study, or we are going to have the leaves of the crop or plants as data. We are going to apply some of the AI methods, and the objective of this lecture is to automatically detect the disease within the leaves of the plant or crops. So this is what is sometimes being confused with what is smart in it. It is being intelligent. We are using some of the methods, and actually we are giving an expert system. For example, Let us have any of the images. So these are some of the example of leaves and the categories in the domain of agriculture. So we have a data for apple, same, blueberry, cherry, grapes, pepper, potato, tomato, and many more. So we have an online data set for that. So my today's lecture will be comprising of, first of all, we will study the problems in the domain of data collection. Because what people are basically interested in, they are studying the different methods, the machine learning and the deep learning methods. They are not interested in what type of data they have. They are directly implementing the algorithms like CNN, neural networks, support vector machines, and many more. So people are directly implementing the algorithm, they don't get the results, but actually they fail in the real-time implementation of the method. And that is due to the data. Because there are many type of problems that are associated with the data, like the data is affected by many kinds of noise. There may be a problem in the resolution of the data, because as you are looking at the one problem which commonly arises, suppose we are having a data, someone has an Apple phone, it has a very good resolution in comparison to the other phone. Like I am having a phone, it is having a 13 megapixel of camera. And if the same resolution of camera is embedded into an Apple phone, the quality of picture will be good in the case of Apple. The size of the data will increase due to the fact that the quality of camera in Apple phone is good. So what happens is, if the same picture is taken from two different sources or two different cameras, there is a great possibility of the introduction of errors. What do I mean by error? Finally, a wrong class will be classified. It may be a possibility that if a healthy leaf of tomato is being provided as input to the AI model, then its output may be diseased or normal or healthy. So to start this lecture, I will deal with both Python and MATLAB. Since I have two lectures, so today I am going to focus on MATLAB. Tomorrow there will be a biomedical lecture, so tomorrow I am going to deal the same thing in Python. So if someone don't have, again I will try to say that if someone don't have the MATLAB software, no need to worry. I have a sheet of experiments, basic, not this high kind of what I am going to do. So introduction, India is one of the major player in the agriculture sector worldwide, and it is the primary source of livelihood for 58% of the population. India has the world largest cattle herd, largest area planted to wheat, rice, cotton, and the largest producer of milk, pulses, spices in the world. It is the second largest producer of fruits, vegetables, tea, farm fish, and many more. Agriculture sector in India holds the record of second largest agricultural land in the world, generating employment for about half of the country's population. The farmer thus becomes an integral part to the sector, and consumer spending in India will return to growth. This data is before the pandemic. So now this has been reached by 6 to 6%. So consumer spending in India will return to growth in 2021. That is the post-COVID expanding it by 6.6%. These are some of the brief data actually. The market size of agriculture, as per the reports of INC 42, it is a media house. The agricultural sector is predicted to increase to $24 billion by 2025. And Indian food and grocery market sits world's sixth largest, with retail contributing to 70% of the sales. And first advance estimate for the financial year 2022-23 for the Kharif crop only. Food grain production in the country is estimated at 149.92 million tons. So, coming to the motivation part, the rising income levels in rural and urban areas, which has contributed to an increase in the demand of agricultural products across the nation, provide additional support for this. So, we, being engineers, we are trying to deal with, or we are trying to integrate our technologies into the different domains of research. And for today, the topic is agriculture. So these are the different cutting edge technologies like blockchain, AI, geographical information systems, drones, remote sensing technologies for various e-farming applications. So what are the problems faced by the farmers? Now we have to go to the root of the problem. So there are different problems like climate change is the major problem. There is a project of Bihar government worth rupees 200 crores, of which one part we have taken at IIT Bhagalpur, which is the crop or plant disease detection. This project comes under the climate resilient agriculture program of Bihar government. So, huh? हम लोगों के डॉक्यूमेंट में CRA लिखा क्लाइमेट रिलेटेड एग्रीकल्चर प्रोग्राम हाँ वो ठीक है. So this so first of all we have to deal with what are the real time situations. So the main situation, the main problem, the main challenge is the climate change, because in Bihar the different regions like North Bihar are flooding. We every year we report floods in the different regions of Bihar, and limited water availability, allowing of weeds, pests, and fungus, which reduces the crop productivity. So these are the different challenges, which are means the objectives that challenges actually like satisfy the changing taste and expectations when the quality of the crop is not up to that mark. Meeting rising demand for food of higher quality, invest in farm productivity, but we will stick to these are some of more on the data that how much amount of loss the actually farmers are getting. Like 40% of the global agriculture production is lost due to pest and disease attacks. And climate change, indiscriminate use of pesticides have increased cost of production. So coming to the motivation that we have to develop holistic crop health diagnostic services to ensure site specific based pesticide application. And in this project only we are going to generate advisories for the farmers depending on the climate. So the climate data is given by IMD. IMD is giving the 1 kilometer radius data of soil, temperature. There are different physical parameters, or the computer science students can understand this as attributes. So these are the different attributes like soil moisture, temperature, average rainfall, prediction of rainfall in the next 3 days to 5 days, So these are the different parameters on which we are going to generate the advisories for the farmers. So the use of unmanned air vehicles, machine learning and AI tools have become practical and can be employed for various domains in agriculture. There is no solution available to detect the pest disease infected crops and generate advisories for crop protection. So the objectives are like we want to integrate our AI technology these with the challenges that are being faced by the farmers. So before going to that, I want to present a demo. We have prepared the AI tool in three forms. The first form is the Android app, which can be easily used by the farmers because nobody is interested to read your code. There may be thousand lines of code either in MATLAB, either in C, either in Python. It is of no use to a farmer. So we have gone for three solutions. First is the form of the Android app. Second is web-based solution. And third one is the software-based solution. So I hope that you are all comfortable that what are these solutions of. Android application, there will be an Android app on your, which has to be installed on your Android phone. Web-based application is the website kind of thing. There will be a server that will be on the feedback to your web-based application where all the AI algorithms will be implemented. And the third one is as an independent software. There will be an exe file which you have to run as you run the softwares on your computer, like Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office. Same kind of there will be an exe software. You have to double click on it, it will be open, and then after you can take the advantage of the software. So for the demonstration purpose, this is an Android application. It is in the preliminary stage. So only what you have to do is you have to upload the data. After uploading the data, automatically result will be generated. What we have not achieved till now is we are not having the data of the weather, which has to be given by the IMD. Secondly, we require more number of data to achieve better accuracy. So these two points are in process. But what data we got from the internet, we have developed a AI model for tomato and potato crops. So just what you have to do, this can run in your mobile phones also. So just you have to click on the upload button. You have to select, it will open in your entire phone. Just you have to go, either you have taken an image, at the same instant you can also classify that, or if you have a pre-stored data in your phone, you can also take that for classification. So it will open all your entire window of your phone actually. And you have to just select the image and you have to just click on the classify. It is just a basic level that what we have developed for a demonstration purpose. So you can see that I don't know what is this septoria leaf pot, to be very frank. What, being an engineer, I know that there was a folder which was written as tomato having the disease of type septoria leaf spot. So there, what I understood from this is there are several kind of spots on the leaf, and our AI model is accurately predicting it. What we have to still integrate is generating the advisories because we know the type of disease what the crop is having. The remedial measure will be given by the BAUs about that what amount of insecticide or pesticide has to be supplied to the crop in what amount of water. So there will be a solution consisting of insecticide and pesticide, जिसको हिंदी में घोल बोलते हैं, and that has to be sprayed on 1 acre of land. So that complete PDF based advisory and a message will be delivered on the farmer's email automatically, and a message will be sent to the corresponding number. In addition to that, we have also taken care of that if the farmers are not able to read, then there will be an interpreter which is going to convert our message into voice format. So they, after listening the message, they can take the measures to protect their stocks. So that was all about the demo part. So applications of AI applications in the domain of agriculture, we can go for crop yield prediction and price forecast. बिहार में एक मंडी का भी प्रॉब्लम है. अगर आप जो एग्रीकल्चर के लोग हैं वो बेहतर समझ रहे होंगे कि प्राइस के रेट में बहुत ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएशन है और एक स्थिरता नहीं है. For the computer science people, you can develop a web-based application for the farmers in which they can upload their images of grains, and you can place the price like in Amazon. If we are able to, if we are going to buy something, we are having a fixed price rate. So that is also has to be developed for the Bihar.
तो बहुत सारा है पर जब उतना अवेयर नहीं है।
वो ठीक है, पता है, तो अवेयर करना पड़ेगा ना. उसके लिए बिहार गवर्नमेंट को प्रोग्राम चलाना पड़ेगा. वो अपना काम नहीं है, अपना काम इंजीनियर वाला है. इंटेलिजेंट स्प्रेइंग. The agriculture people may be knowing that if you are going to spray the insecticide from drones, आप लोगों ने ड्रोन खरीदा होगा, तो उसके जो माउथ है जहां से वो स्प्रे निकलता है, actually the speed of the wings of the drone is such high that above a height of 10 to 12 feet, in some water drops are coming downwards. Due to the speed of the winds, they are being scattered. So the spraying is not up to the mark. मतलब जहां उसको गिरना चाहिए वो वहां नहीं गिर रहा है, वो पंखे की स्पीड से जो है इधर उधर चला जाता है. उसमें भी काम कर सकते हैं, इसमें अभी तक कोई काम नहीं हुआ है, ये चल रहा है. Predictive insights, agriculture robots, crop soil monitoring, and in this lecture I am going to highlight this disease diagnostics part. पहले एक बार देख लेते हैं कि हम लोग करने क्या वाले हैं. The main objective means how to achieve the objective. We are trying to integrate. This is just taken from the Google that I have not prepared. This is just a brief outline. मैं just आपको मोटा मोटी समझा देता हूँ कि what we are going to do. We are going to develop an expert system. The main objective is to develop an expert system where plant pathologists are not available, and we are going to deliver the necessary part. So first is, as you can see, that plant leaf image training. There are two phases. First one is the training and the second one is testing. So it is as similar as a student that if I want to know that how much trained a person is, I can see his marks. It shows that what percentage of intelligent or the performance of the person is. Means for a semester you are studying 6 subjects and your average CGPA is more than 9. You are considered as one of the brilliant student of your class. Similarly, we are going to train on some data And then after on an independent set, we are going to test the model. And for this we require data. So first of all, just talk about the data. There is a data set, open access data, which is known as plant village. You can download it. You can just type on Google. It will redirect on the CADL website, and it contains 54,605 leaf image samples and 38 classes, and the number of categories. There are 14 different crops with 26 diseases infected. The database has been prepared using 6 augmentation techniques. These techniques are scaling. Scaling means suppose we are having bigger numbers. Before going to numbers, let me tell you one thing. The game of AI is all about data, and they are nothing. The data is nothing, just numbers. We are only going to deal with numbers. So if you want to check whether your method is working well or not, always remember one point, that after doing the method which you are performing or which you are going to do, just try and plot the output of that method or that step. That will ensure that whether you are getting the results or not. So scaling is to reduce the means to minimize the number of values. There may be a case that the data may have higher values, like 1000, 1200, 1300. As I have stated earlier, the data will be in terms of numbers. And talking about the image part, it will in a matrix of size m cross n. कुछ लिख सकते हैं क्या?
हाँ सर,
अच्छा इधर लिख सकते हैं. कल जैसे कि आप लोग in the yesterday's lecture of Chandan sir, you were dealing with signals. So there would have been matrix of size 1 cross n. This one represents the signal and it is a type of data. Today we are dealing with images. So it will consist of a matrix of size m cross n. And there will be numbers associated to that. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, n. Likewise, there will be a matrix. What you are looking at is you are just taking the data as input. You are applying some of the method and directly you are getting the result. But what your tool is actually doing, it is doing all the mathematical calculations. The mathematical calculations is done by your tool. And many of us, not us, what we are teaching in class, they are basically interested in coding, but they don't know that what is going inside the tool. So 1, 2, 3, and and so actually we are dealing with a matrix. Both are matrices, but it is one dimensional. We call it as a one dimensional data. We call this as a two dimensional data. So now talking about these values may be high of the order of 1200, 1400, 1800, 2400, likewise. So what we do, we normalize the data or we scale the data. That is what scaling is. Scaling is we are actually using, there are different methods to scale the data. You can calculate the mean and reduce from each of the values. There are many methods which I am going to discuss further. But you have to basically reduce it into smaller values like 1, 1.2, 1.4, 1.8, similar. Because if you are going to apply the methods on the bigger values, more computation time will be required. If we are dealing with big numbers, then applying a method to a big number and a smaller number, the number of computations will be same. But the time taken will vary. Talking about the rotation, there may be a possibility that if you are taking an image from a camera, it is slightly flipped. So there may be a possibility that there will be a 5 degree, 10 degree, 15 degree, 20 degree rotation in it. So we have to also deal with that. Somebody may take the image like this, somebody like this, like this, like this. So actually it is going to rotate. There may be noise introduced in the image. So we have to apply filters and there different methods are there. Gamma correction, image flipping and PCA color augmentation. Augmentation is due to the class imbalance problem. होता क्या है? Suppose we are having 6 categories of data. Let A be potato, B be tomato, and this one apple. So what happens sometimes is, then in category A we have 30,000 of samples or 35,000 of samples. In category B we have only 4,000. And in category C we have suppose 1,000. This, if we apply this amount of data in training phase, as I have stated earlier, when we will discuss the methods, we will discuss separately what is training and testing. But briefly, you understood that based on this data, we are going to apply some of the method which will train the model, and then after we will evaluate the model. So this difference of approximately 9 times, 4 times will make your classifier model bias. Means what happens is, when you are giving an input to a classifier model, and suppose the category A, you are giving any sample of category A, it may be a possibility that your answer will be C, and that is due to the biasing. So using the data augmentation methods, we are actually balancing the data. Means we want equivalent number of samples in each of these categories. This all 6 augmentation techniques were used to create a diverse data set. There is a very important term which is known as diverse. To develop an efficient AI model, you need all the possible different kinds of data of same type. Same type means same category. Suppose, for example, if we are having a face recognition model, एक AI का मॉडल है जिससे चेहरे को पहचानना है. अब अगर ठंडी का सीजन है, if we are having a cold weather, then मेरे कान ढके होंगे, मेरा बाल ढका होगा, मेरा नाक कोविड के टाइम पे यहाँ तक ऐसे ढका होगा. Now also what you have to do is you have to develop a model which takes only this part, above of this part, it has to extract some of the features and then classify. So we need different kinds of data, different possible. Jitna means there is a term in mathematics which is known as variance. The variance should be much higher. Means in layman language, what I want to say is, what are the different possibilities, different kinds of data that has to be present in your data set. Otherwise, if same type of data is available, again the model developed will be biased or no use. अगर एक ही तरह का डेटा आपके मॉडल में है, अगर मेरा फुल फेस ही आपने दिया है और आप इस पार्ट को या इस अपर पार्ट को कंसिडर नहीं कर रहे, तो वो फॉल्स डिटेक्शन करेगा. It will result in false detection. After taking the image, the data set, those who have prepared, they have taken the matrix. The size of M and N is now equal to 256. They have cropped the image. And उसके बाद हम आपको आगे दिखाते हैं. So licensing information is fine. So these are different kind of samples of different. And these are the categories of the sample images. It contains soya bean, quash, strawberry, pepper, peach, orange, grape, corn, and many more. These are the annotated or the annotations of the images or the labels, you can say. And this is basically the end-to-end procedure. पहले हम ये समझ लीजिए कि आप आगे पढ़ने क्या वाले हैं AI में. अगर ये आपको समझ में आ गया, तो अंदर जो है वो different type of methods ही हम आपको बताने जा रहे हैं. What I am going to discuss after this slide is the different problems in the data, the solution, and how you are going to adopt the AI method. First one is the original image, which either you take or you collect the data from the different regions, or you take the data from the data set. Then after that, noise is removed. So actually, as discussed in the previous slide, there are different kinds of noises associated to the input image. So that has to be reduced by some means. So basically, we apply filters. Are you all aware about the filters? आप डिलीवर करते समय काउंटर क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं. ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है तो आप पूछ नहीं सकते और लास्ट में जब पूछेंगे जब कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा, आप इंस्टेंटली मुझे रोक सकते हैं. फिल्टर्स, वाटर फिल्टर देखा क्या करता है? पानी प्यूरिफाई करता है. सिमिलरली यहाँ पे इमेज प्रोसेसिंग में है. इफ इमेज इज हैविंग सम काइंड ऑफ नॉइज, यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, बिकॉज द फिल्टर्स डील in the frequency domain. Frequency domain. And the original image is in spatial domain. क्या बोल रहे थे? हाँ? इमेज बोला था. So we have to actually find out the different kind of noises. If the image is blurred, we will look some of the examples for this. If the image is blurred or if some part of portion is being cut, so we actually adopt some of the methods after identifying the problem. Until you know which kind of noise is associated with your input image, you cannot apply the filters. So what the researchers do, they read some papers, they know that this type of noise is associated to the database, they directly just adopt those methods. But that is not feasible in real time. After that, After, actually this complete process is known as the pre-processing step. Removal of noise, if you want to highlight some of the features in the image, everything. Then after comes the feature extraction and the classification part. In today's lecture, I have just highlighted the CNN algorithm, which is a part of deep learning technique. Convolutional neural network. It has 10 different architectures that they all have been summarized here. But the basic concept is, suppose I want to identify, 1 minute. If I ask you that how you are going to identify manually between a tomato leaf and means which is healthy and a tomato septoria leaf spot, आप इसको कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करोगे? आप कहोगे सर all the part is green, here some spots are there, in addition to that the change, there is a change in color, a part of the leaf is yellowish in nature. So what are these? These are features, manual features, which a human eye is going to take. But in the mathematics, we have to apply such methods that can differentiate between these two images. So we have to adopt mathematical methods. Everything is mathematics. Either I am talking about the AI model, I am talking about the filters, or anything. These all are mathematics. We are from end to end. We are going to deal with numbers only. Just mathematics. So let me write this that yellowish nature of the leaf is a feature. We can say it is a characteristic. And the spot. These two features, what I know, what the agriculturists know, I don't know. मेरे को जो समझ में आ रहा है वो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. मुझे देखने में ये दोनों रीजंस लग रहे हैं. ये बाइनरी क्लास का प्रॉब्लम है. We are having two classes. One is having healthy and the another one is tomato septoria leaf spot. There are two features which are not present in the healthy leaf. I am calling these as features. Based on these features, I am going to discriminate between category A, which is tomato healthy, and tomato septoria leaf spot. So this is an important step in the complete machine learning process. And based on these features, we are going to apply these features to a machine learning or deep learning model. Its input will be these features, what you are going to extract from the input images. ये फीचर आप मशीन लर्निंग को दोगे. The machine learning model will again train it for the specified number of samples, and then after it will classify. This is another example. We have selected an image. We have reduced the noise using filters. Contrast enhancement. We have highlighted the constant. There are several methods for that, like BCEC. This falls in the domain of image enhancement topics. So there are dedicated algorithms which I have considered in this presentation. Clash enhancement method is there. Then after unsharp masking, we are doing a masking for that. And then after segmentation. इसमें आपको unsharp masking का मतलब शायद नहीं समझ में आ रहा होगा, बाकी तो क्लियर होगा.
unsharp masking तो लीफ का लेआउट दिखाएगा
जी. This is due to the fact that मैंने कुछ इमेजेस लगाया था वो मुझे दिख नहीं रहा. सेव नहीं हुआ लगता है. Okay, maybe after the presentation I will be able to let it be. जब आप इमेज लेंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट मी गो टू द बायोमेडिकल domain for a couple of minutes. So if we are going to identify some of the chest diseases, so what we have as input, we have input as chest X-ray, जो लगभग इस तरीके का दिखता है. यहाँ पे एक नली होती है, वी आर हैविंग लेफ्ट लंग एंड राइट लंग. मेरी ड्राइंग बहुत खराब है. A, B. So we are actually interested in identifying the diseases in chest. And I am saying that X-ray, in this case we are taking the input as lead. In this case we are taking an example of chest X-ray. So where actually we are going to find out the disease? We are going to find out the disease in the lungs. These are the lungs part. So here what we are doing masking is an algorithm. So we first of all we pre-train the model to take out this A and B. It means that all the information in the sideways are not relevant to us. We are not interested in this part of the image. For this purpose, we do the masking. We create a mask for the lung. Similarly, when we are actually capturing the image of the crop, there may be a possibility if we are having a wheat crop, then while taking the image of one leaf, we are actually taking the 5 number of leaves. Or there may be a possibility that the image will only have such kind of leaf. So what I want to highlight here is the rest of the parts of this image. We call it, in the engineering domain, we call it as ROI, region of interest. Region of interest is only the leaf part, not the other elements outside the leaf part. So we extract only the leaf part to study the different diseases, because the disease can be only found in the leaf. But an image can capture all the other parts also. That depends on the range and resolution and the type of camera which you are using, or the focal length also. So that's why segmentation is a necessary step sometimes, because if you are not doing the segmentation, what will happen? While extracting the features, you are also taking the features which are not of your interest. And again, this will bias your model, AI model. So why data pre-processing is important? If you skip the data pre-processing step, it will affect your work later on when applying this data set to a machine learning model. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप skip कर नहीं सकते, आप कर सकते हैं. Most of the codes available on GitHub, 99 or 100% of the code. What the people are actually doing, they are only interested in publishing papers, so they are playing with the algorithms, and they don't find useful to pre-process the data, which is the most important. So what will happen is, मेरे पास एक इमेज था, मैंने सेव किया था, वो सेव मैं कर नहीं पाया शायद. When you will look at the database, there is a clean plane behind. एक क्लीन प्लेन है, उसके ऊपर एक इमेज रख दिया गया है पत्ते को, और इमेज बहुत अच्छे से ले लिया गया. प्रैक्टिकल सिनेरियो में ऐसा नहीं होगा. इमेज लेते समय या तो पेड़ के 4-5 पत्ते आएंगे, या you will find n number of different kind of stuff, different kind of problems or challenges. So your region of interest you have to select using the segmentation method. So for doing that, the pre-processing part is very much important. Otherwise, it will create a biased machine learning model. So most of the models can't handle missing. These missing values is nothing. Just if you are taking an image and some part of the image is missing. So partly image of that leaf is available to you. So I am considering that as the missing value. So using AI also, you can just build a model to predict what will be the nature of the leaves of the crop or plant. You can do that also. Suppose some image of leaf is partly available to you, then using the machine learning models, you can develop the image of the leaves. So boring or ab. So 80% of our work is data preparation. So डेटा प्रिपरेशन में बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं जो हम आपको यही क्लियर कर देते हैं. Data cleaning, dimensionality reduction, feature engineering, sampling data, data transformation, imbalanced data. So in data cleaning, one of the more pre-processing, this technique refers to identifying incomplete, inaccurate, duplicated. Sometimes what happens, the computer science people must be knowing that. I am not talking about the image processing problem. There may be an issue that same kind of image is repeated more than 1, 2, or 3 times. So that is actually giving a redundant data, redundancy, redundancy of data. So if you are applying to predict what will be the number of COVID deaths in April 2023, what will be, so either you are preparing an Excel file or you are having same nature of signals. If I am talking in the one-dimensional form, in two-dimensional form, you may be having similar images of the same leaf repeated 2 to 3 times or more than 10 times. It depends. So that is creating redundancy in the data. So either maybe the data duplicated, irrelevant, or null values in the data. So we are actually going to modify them if the data is incomplete or inaccurate. If it is duplicated or irrelevant, we are going to delete the data. Second form is the noisy data. Can you tell me a reason that we are currently in the uh, cold weather? So in night, what happens if someone will shout from here? The range of that sound will be far more than if the same sound with same intensity is being propagated in this region only. And that is due to the amount of noise. What will happen? The trucks will be going, so that will also deteriorate the quality of the sound. If you are running a fan, sometimes when you talk on phone, the sound of the fan is much more high, so it will be very difficult to listen on your phone also. Or if you are in a cooler, so that is noise. That is being associated to your ears. So that needs to be removed. That is in the context of images also. But it is not fixed. You have to identify whether the image which you are having is clean or not. Like in data cleaning, one line I have written in the last, that the strategy you adopt depends on the problem domain. Means depending on the type of data or the type of noise associated to the data, you have to adopt the method. So in this case, we are basically aiming to remove the unwanted or irrelevant data. Let's go fast. So solution to this is we can apply, there are many methods like we can apply to filters. Filters में इसलिए नहीं गया कि फिर मुझे frequency domain में जाना पड़ता. So where you can sort them into divide into bins, mean median भी बहुत लोग they compute and they reduce it from the data. But the best method is identify the noise in frequency domain. That is the best method due to the fact that the frequency of noises you can easily identify in the frequency domain. Talking about the missing data, if some part of the data is missing, so we have different kind of solutions to it. Let me skip this. Missing values, we have three different kind of methods. Dimensionality reduction is one of the important because it will increase your time. Suppose this size of the matrix is very big, of the order of say 1024 cross 1024, provided m and n are equal. So what I mean by more time is required is it will increase your training time of the model. It will also increase the prediction of your model if you are not going to reduce the dimensions of the data. Means the execution time will be much more faster. If not, then what will happen? If you are giving an input to your solution, this is your solution, AI based solution, the output will come after 2 days. It is not fixed. Just I am giving an example that in today's world we require the response from the system in real time. Real time generally means there are various classification, hard, soft. I am not going into that detail, but within few seconds we are actually expecting the result. And for that, we have to do something while processing the data. So dimensionality reduction can be done, and its advantages are if we have done the means if we have reduced the dimensionality, there are various methods like PCA. You may have heard about principal component analysis. It is basic kind of method. So it will increase the overall performance. It will also prevent from overfitting because it will only capture those features that are actually relevant to train your model. There are many methods. Feature selection. Based on what you want to select the features. So this is an important part which the computer science or everybody studies. Feature selection refers to the process of selecting the most important variables related to your prediction variable. मैं experiment पे आऊँगा थोड़ी देर में. In other words, selecting the attributes which contribute most to the model. Means when you will study the PCA model, the output of PCA is the information contained is in the decreasing order of the energies. So what you can do is you can only select the first few variables like 1 cross 5 in mathematics. So what will happen? There may be a possibility that it will give you 95% accuracy. And if you are considering the whole signal, it may be giving you 95.6 or 96% accuracy. There is a similar algorithm which is known as DCT, discrete cosine transform. जैसे फूरियर ट्रांसफॉर्म है वैसे ही उसके रियल पार्ट को फिर कोसाइन ट्रांसफॉर्म है. इट इज अवेलेबल इन बोथ सिंगल डायमेंशनल एंड डबल डायमेंशन domains. So that is also one of the method to reduce the size of your data. And if you have reduced the size of the data, everything will be much faster as expected. So you can also calculate the correlation between features, which is the more common approach. There are different statistical tests. SCI-kit learn library is also available in Python for that. Recursive feature elimination, variance threshold. There are linear methods, linear and non-linear methods. So in linear methods, have you studied the SVM part, support vector machines? कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बोर्ड इसके पीछे नहीं है. So what happens in support vector machine? The basic aim of the machine learning model, I think you all know, that we want to categorize the input data in different number of categories. That's it. What our whole objective is. हम कहाँ थे, हम भूल गए. हाँ, linear. So in support vector machines, what happens is, it is just a mathematical formulation. The mathematics में नहीं जानना कि hyperplane का equation और quadratic programming problem क्या है. Simply what I want to tell you is, there is a line kind of stuff which is known as hyperplane.
चंदन से बढ़िया से बताए थे.
बता दिए थे ना, तब तो ठीक है. Then we are actually going to suppose we are having a feature of tomato. So let those features be represented as cross and healthy tomato like circles. So what we have done is we are basically plotting two different kind of features in the higher dimensional space. And the main objective of this hyperplane is to separate these two classes. So it is a binary problem. And if the data is linear, means in very raw term, I want to explain that if the data is linear, means the features are not overlapping over each other. However, linear and non-linear has a different definition. That varies over time, that has statistical, बहुत सारी उसकी चीजें हैं. आप बस ऐसे समझिए AI के terms में कि linearity just says that the data are pretty located far to each other, and using a linear line of linear nature, we can actually differentiate between two. But what happens if the data is non-linear type? Means randomized तो दूसरा चीज हो गया, लेकिन ठीक है, आते हैं उस पर भी आ जाएंगे. So if we have, and the data is very closely related to these features, then what is going to happen? Now your linear hyperplane is not any line is not going to separate these two data. So in SVM we are having non-linear kernels like RBF, radial basis function, polynomial function. And what they actually do, they generate a hyperplane such that it can easily classify the features of such nature. आप इसका plot करके देखिए. However, what I have informed you is for a binary class only. It is also available for a multi-class classification problem. In the multi-class classification problem, there are and DAG, directed acyclic graphs. So any one of among them you can adopt for a multi-class classification problem in SVM. So Depending on the type of data, if your data is very linear, you can go for factor analysis and LDA, linear discriminant analysis. Many non-linear methods are there. Handling large amount of data. बहुत बड़ा बनाया था मैंने, मतलब 6-7 घंटा बोल सकते हैं उस पर. So coming to the main part, let's discuss this, the data. So there will be a very common problem that you have less number of data for a particular category. This is a very common problem, and what people do, आपके पास ऐसा होगा कि जहां टमाटर की खेती होती होगी वहां का आदमी थोड़ा सोता ज्यादा होगा. उसके सोने से क्या होगा कि आपके पास टमाटर का जो फोल्डर है उसमें इमेजेस कम होंगे और बाकी कैटेगरीज में इमेजेस ज्यादा होंगे. एंड मैंने व्हाट आई हैव, द नंबर ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंट्स आई हैव डन, it is guaranteed that this will create a bias in the AI model. So for this there are the sampling techniques in which there is oversampling, undersampling. Oversampling में what we do is the number of data जिसमें कम है उसमें oversample करके उसको replicate करते हैं. Undersampling में we just do for the data which we have a greater number of data for a particular category, we apply the undersampling technique for reducing the data set, and there is a hybrid technique for oversampling which consists of both oversampling and undersampling. This is basically the overall block model, whether you can choose the sampling data approach for balancing the data. जब तक आप data balance नहीं करेंगे आप data pre-processing में जाएंगे. So the data may be a noising data, or there may be some kind of a structural or analysis treatment. So what you have to do that has been already discussed. So these are only, यहाँ पे एक important चीज है. If you have a large amount of data and you can't handle it, consider using the approach from the data sampling. There may be a possibility that you may have a large number of data set, and what the students check in the laboratory is only check the accuracy. Accuracy कितना आ रहा है? 90% आ रहा है तो बहुत अच्छा है, 80% आ रहा है तो बहुत खराब है. सर कह रहे हैं नहीं 90% से कम में सबमिट नहीं करना है. These problems we actually deal in the laboratory part. There is no exact method to deal with the data problem, data pre-processing problem. You have to identify the problem of the data and you have to apply these different methods in the pre-processing stage. There is no fixed method either in the pre-processing. So this is an example. Standard algorithm is there to enhance the contrast. In an example, I have shown the contrast enhancement. वहाँ पे मैंने दिखाया था. This is the method. Contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization. अब histogram तो बता सकता हूँ लेकिन तो लंबा हो जाएगा. बस ऐसे समझिए कि frequency domain में जब हम लोग histogram plot करते हैं, if we are plotting the histogram, then the frequencies, क्योंकि frequency domain की बात कर रहे हैं, so we have a typical nature of the curve of शब्द याद नहीं आ रहा मुझे, of like this. So there is equivalent.
इसको क्लीन कर देंगे ये बोर्ड.
So on the right hand side part, it replicates the same number of frequency contents on the left hand side. So it is basically a balanced histogram. If it is not the case, then we try it to balance it. That is what balancing we are talking about. So we want to balance the histogram. So its code is mentioned here. This is in Python. There is another method which is known as binarization. It is also comes in the image enhancement. There are several other methods. There is another method which is known as the Otsu method, in which these are the steps in which we have to read the image, then we will convert into the grayscaled image. Then we want to threshold. This frequency selection is done using the thresholding based operation. This part we also do in the image segmentation part also while we were extracting, for example, what I have told that we are extracting the lungs from the X-ray images. So in the images, the region of interest is also being selected by the thresholding based operations. This is its code in MATLAB. This was the results. Initially, this complete image was blank on the left hand side. This was completely blank. Then after global Utsu was applied, but as you can see, in comparison of these three images, the size of the windows is being varied. This has 5 cross 5, this is 100, and in this we have 50 by 50. So the results are being improved, but you have to check what should be the size of the window. It is not fixed for this particular data only. This window of 100 by 100 has reported the best performance. This is the Python code for this. This I was talking about. Initially, this was the image. This was the initial image. We tried to binarize it. We done the histogram equalizer, and then after we were only interested in highlighting this region. At last we got this. इसका आपको मैटलैब में जो भी जैसा कोड चाहिए वो आपको अभी हम थोड़ी देर में वो दिखा दे रहे हैं. आप लोग यहाँ चाहें यहाँ करें, घर पे चाहें घर पे करें, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. टुडे आई विल डील विद द मैटलैब पार्ट ओनली. आज सिर्फ मैटलैब की बात होगी. In the tomorrow's lecture, I will talk about the Python part. So this is something regarding the plant disease segmentation. We are actually interested in highlighting those regions which, based on which we are categorizing it to the disease part. जैसे chest में भी जो infection हो रहा है. So, what findings of the doctor, or which region, or what are the features for which our model is categorizing this image as a diseased part? So, all of this has been based on the thresholding based operations, of whose example is the Otsu algorithm. Now, the feature extraction and the classification part. अभी तक आप लोगों ने क्या कर लिया? What you have did till now is you have done the pre-processing in which you have reduced the noise, you have enhanced the contrast. Depending on the type of image, depending on the type of data, there may be different kind of problems for which different methods has to be adopted. But it is of a bigger concern that how you are going to identify the problem. Identifying a problem in an unknown data set is a tedious task. It will take time. Now, after pre-processing the data, what I have said, we are interested in extracting the features and applying it to the machine learning part, or machine learning or the deep learning part. So today I am only going to discuss about the CNN algorithm. Its full form is convolutional neural networks. बहुत लोग जानते होंगे CS वाले. तो इसमें this is the input layer, and this input layer is nothing, just the pre-processed image. ये हम लोग इनपुट में ले रहे हैं. इनपुट में हम लोग पूरा डेटा सेट लेंगे प्री प्रोसेसिंग के बाद. After the pre-processing, we will take the complete data set. Then after it is followed by the convolutional layer, in which the convolution operation is done. उस पर हम चर्चा करते हैं. Pooling layer, fully connected layer, and then the output layer. Can somebody tell me what part is responsible for the feature extraction and what part is responsible for the classification?
Classification करेगा.
What I have said earlier is the feature extraction and the classification part, both the operations or the procedures are being done in the CNN itself. तो कौन सा पार्ट रिस्पॉन्सिबल है फीचर एक्सट्रैक्शन के लिए और कौन सा क्लासिफिकेशन? एंड फॉर द क्लासिफिकेशन पार्ट यहां तक जो है फुली कनेक्टेड से पहले whatever the parts are, they are responsible for the feature extraction. It is a complete black box. अंदर क्या हो रहा है किसी को नहीं पता. What kind of features there? The theory says that the features are being extracted in layer by layer manner. You have to choose the size of the kernel. Mainly they are 3 by 3, 32 by 32. So the convolutional layers are made up of filters that are being applied to the input image. The output of the convolutional layer is a feature map. Talking about the full, they reduce the spatial size of the input, making it easier to process and requiring less memory. And fully connected layer में वो single उसमें convert कर देता है. Fully connected layer are one of the, each neuron is fully connected layer is to every other neurons. Means जो अगर neural network सब लोगों ने पढ़ा है.
सर ये सेमेस्टर में
थोड़ा सा मैं बता ही देता हूँ. इतना में काम हो जाएगा. There are 3 layers. I am talking about ANN, not of CNN. Artificial neural network. There are basically 3 layers: input layer, hidden layer, output layer. This output layer consists of 5 classes or 7 classes, means the category of which you are interested in. Yani if you are talking about tomato, potato, strawberry, mangoes, then total number of 4 layers at the output side. Its output will be what? The type of category. So it is being notated as 1, 2, 3. Its input will be the feature, which is the output of the feature extraction part. So mathematically it will be in terms of some dimensions. If we are talking about signals, it will be 1 cross n. If we are talking about it will be m cross n in terms of images. And what basically this hidden layer do, it is connected to weight and bias. And it is connected to all the different number of, it is a single layer, 1 layer. And what we manually vary is number of hidden neurons. One thing you must note in the machine learning and the deep learning part, the most important part in machine learning, the internal parameters of the classifier. Have you heard about this? Anybody? In ANN, number of neurons in a hidden layer. In support vector machines, it is If you are talking about the RBF kernel function, you have to decide for the gamma kernel factor is there, and you have to choose for the cost function in SVM. If you are talking about the KNN classifier, you have to discuss with K and N, and you have to choose the value of K. So there are two methods. The first method is manual, which is hit and trial method. You have to vary the number of neurons if you are talking about the AN, and you have to check the accuracy part. And secondly, there is another method which is known as the optimization method. You may have heard about the terms PSO, particle swarm optimization, genetic algorithms, bacterial foraging, and colony bee. So these choose the optimal parameter for the classifier. Optimal parameters means based on this values of the parameters, like in hidden layer we have to choose the number of neurons. So we believe that these are meta-heuristic techniques. I hope all you have been known about the heuristic and meta-heuristic. So these algorithms choose the optimal parameters, and we believe that it is not the accurate one, but it is nearest to the accurate one. So it will give you the optimal parameters for the classifier. So this is the brief history of CNNs, convolutional neural network. इसकी हिस्ट्री है ये 2012 से शुरू हुआ है. मैं आपको थोड़ा और पहले से ले चलूंगा थोड़ी देर में. जो एग्रीकल्चर के लोग हैं, आप लोग बस ये समझिए कि इट इज बेसिकली अ मैथमेटिकल ब्लैक बॉक्स which is done using a language. That language can be C, C++, Python, or it can be a dedicated tool like MATLAB, which has a list of functions. So what mathematics we are going to apply? We are going to apply using that language. So in 2012, AlexNet was discovered, but the first CNN architecture was discussed in LeNet, and थोड़ा सा डिस्कस कर लेते हैं लैब के बारे में. So this was the first architecture introduced in the year 1998. Then after AlexNet, so they have only different number of, the architecture actually varies and the concepts remains the same. So now directly coming to the what the literature says, that the best models what has been reported on different classification problems, the GoogleNet, AlexNet, RaceNet, and somewhat mobile nets are better in classifying for the image classification model. So this is the feature extraction part using the CNN, and classification results where the leaves cause the diseases. Talking about how we report the results. So the input, मतलब हम लोग पेपर में रिपोर्ट कैसे करते हैं? We written some part of code. We got highest accuracy, but that cannot be itself a proof of result. So what we do, first of all, these are the basic parameters what we have considered in the CNN model, and we have this training and testing data set. So the number of data sets what we have considered for training the model, testing the model. On the testing model itself, we report the confusion matrix. So the confusion matrix, the size of the confusion matrix depends on the category what you have considered for classification. So if you have a multi-class classification problem, if the number of categories are 5 or 6, then it will be 5 cross 5 matrix or 6 cross 6 matrix. And these are means we started from a binary classification problem for which the demonstration was shown earlier. We are continuously working on it with by varying the different number of training and testing samples. And this is just an example how a confusion matrix looks like. The diagonal part reports the true positive with the number of correctly classified events into a particular category. For each row, these numbers represent the misclassified part. Like there were a total number of 80 samples in category 0, of which 75 are correctly classified as 0 and 5 are misclassified into 1. यानी ऐसे आप इसको समझ सकते हैं, those who are from agriculture, that among 80 number of healthy tomato leaves, 75 are correctly classified as healthy and 5 are classified as non-healthy or diseased. Based on this, we calculate the precision and recall. These are same confusion matrices for different data sets. This graph represents the training and testing accuracy part. This graph was taken before we used a method for the optimization, which is known as the hypertuning. So we can see that the blue dots represents the training loss, which is somewhat nearer to the 0.2 means 20% loss, 0.4 40% loss. So loss should be near to 0 and accuracy should be higher. It is expected. Testing accuracy, as we know that means the accuracy for the testing model is only has to be evaluated. This is due to the fact that we don't consider the training accuracy. Is it? Why we only report the testing accuracy, or why we are mainly interested in the testing accuracy? Why not training?
Because it's a old data we have. Because it's the data that it has been trained, so it will be giving it correct.
But until we know, have you ever faced a problem like during training the accuracy is 96% and during testing the accuracy is 98%? Have you ever encountered with this problem where the testing accuracy is more than the training accuracy? How it is possible? So there will be many cases that you may encounter while developing an AI model, and that you have to go through that what problem you are dealing with. It is not possible that on the same database the training accuracy is less and the testing accuracy is more. It means that your model is not trained well, simply. And the results you are getting is only for publishing the papers, because only 98% you are going to show in your papers. I have seen very less number of papers where they have reported both the accuracies, because while you will write the Python code, it will take the average of all and it will finally give you this. but stage by stage, what is the training accuracy that has to be seen. And these are more on the results, and this is what we finally want, that there should be some kind of GUI, because a farmer, as I have started with that only, that a farmer cannot understand what your MATLAB is, what your C programming is. So it has to be in some form that it is easy to handle. So the conclusion is data preparation is the more important part, followed by the feature extraction and classification method. There are many number of methods, only which only a few has been dealt in this lecture. But still, the most important part is the data preparation. We don't bother about the data, we directly download it from the database. So it has to be looked upon. Then after histogram equalization must be done, and followed by the necessary feature extraction and classification stages has to be dealt of. These are the number of references that has been taken from. Thank you. Talking about the laboratory part, first of all, you have to load the image and take the attributes. So what are the attributes? हमारे पास इतना मटेरियल है कि 10 दिन काम कर सकते हैं, प्रॉब्लम नहीं। शुरू में नहीं बैठा तो भी
आईडी पासवर्ड मांग रहा है सब ईमेल एड्रेस अपने
अभी तो ऑनलाइन हाँ, if you have any questions,
सर
पूछे।
वन क्वेश्चन है सर कि
एक क्वेश्चन में क्या होगा? हाँ
सर जो आप काम कर रहे हैं सर, जो प्लांट ये डिजीज डिटेक्शन पे
जी,
सर, एक ऐप है सर ऑलरेडी प्लांटिक्स,
वो जर्मनी का है
हाँ
जी, वो पता है मुझे।
तो सर
वो एंड्रॉइड ऐप पे अवेलेबल है।
हाँ सर,
उसकी एक्यूरेसी भी अच्छी खासी है, लेकिन उसमें दो प्रॉब्लम है, और हमारे काम में दो एडवांटेज है। वो प्लांट क्रॉप सिर्फ डिजीज बता रहा है, प्लांटिक्स,
जी सर,
ठीक है। हम लोग उसका रिमीडियल मेजर भी बताएंगे, और ये भी बताएंगे कि अगर आपको इस दौरान खेती करनी है 3 दिन के बाद, तो हमारे पास चूंकि IMD का डेटा होगा फॉर द प्रिडिक्शन ऑफ वेदर और फॉर द वेदर रिपोर्ट और वेदर फॉरकास्ट, based on that we will generate an automatic advisory for the farmer. दूसरा पॉइंट जो बेसिक लेवल का पॉइंट है, प्लांटिक्स जर्मनी का है, इंडिया में अभी तक प्लांटिक्स के अलावा और कोई ऐप नहीं है। प्लांटिक्स जानते हैं, प्लांटिक्स के अलावा दुनिया में कोई और ऐप नहीं है। प्लांटिक्स ने क्या किया कि पहले जो है उसने अपने ऐप को फ्री कर दिया, जितने लोग थे उसमें से इमेज लेते थे और इमेज उसके सर्वर पे चला जाता था। बेस्ड ऑन दैट डेटा, based on the data, this has been developed, but still its accuracy is still questionable. हम ये नहीं कह रहे हैं कि वो गलत ही देता है, लेकिन it needs more tuning. The contract which we have signed from BNO about the last point is that the tool, the AI tool, the module down. In that module, the software has to be tuned based on the feedback of the farmer. ये बनाना है कि आप भी बना सकते हो,
कौन सा सर नाम हम लिखना है?
इसमें कुछ नहीं। आप एक AI का मॉडल ले लीजिए, just choose any method, you just apply the input, कोड हम आपको दे देंगे, एंड्रॉइड बना लीजिए, गूगल पे डाल दीजिए। लेकिन वही जो दो पार्ट में आपको कह रहा था कि स्मार्टनेस नहीं है उसमें, जिसकी मैं बात कर रहा था, स्मार्ट एग्रीकल्चर, वो इंटेलिजेंट सिस्टम है। एक्यूरेसी उसमें इंप्रूवमेंट का बहुत बड़ी गुंजाइश है। दूसरा कि जिस टाइप के डेटा पे वो बना है, वहां से यहाँ का जो डेटा है इंडियन, उसमें डाइवर्सिटी बहुत कम है। इंडिया के क्रॉप्स और प्लांट्स में डाइवर्सिटी बहुत ज्यादा है, स्कोप बहुत ज्यादा है। यहाँ का जो मौसम है वो बहुत मतलब वहाँ के अकॉर्डिंग नहीं है। तो इन दोनों पैरामीटर्स को साथ लेके जो रिमेडियल मेजर होना चाहिए, बाय अ सिंगल क्लिक। तो पहले थोड़ा बेसिक से शुरू कर ले, इमेज रीड कैसे करते हैं। पहले उसका वेरिएबल देखिए कि वेरिएबल में मैट्रिक्स क्या आ रहा है, उसकी वैल्यूज क्या है। आफ्टर इम्प्लीमेंटिंग एनी ऑफ द मेथड, व्हाट चेंजेस वी आर गेटिंग इन द वैल्यू, आपको उसमें सब कुछ मिलेगा। वो सर एक्चुअली परमिशन नहीं दिया आपको, आप कहीं दूसरी जगह फोल्डर बनाएंगे और उसका पार्ट दे दीजिए वहाँ पे डिसाइड होगा, उस फाइल को हम सेव कर दीजिए। इतना करने की जरूरत नहीं है, सब कुछ जमाना हो गया। और डेस्कटॉप पे लॉगिन कर रहा हूँ, फोल्डर बना लीजिए। Just take any of the videos. हमारे पास सेटअप पड़ा होगा, अगर किसी को चाहिए होगा तो हम करेंगे। थोड़ा सा इस कोड को मैं एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ पहले। दिस इज अ कोड मैटलैब। पहला लिंक 3 लाइन को सीएल वालों को भी क्लियर हो, सीएल सी क्लियर और क्लोज हो। CLC will clear the command window, clear all will close all your variables and all the programs. From here, actually the code starts. The file name in the folder, after writing the first line of code which is visible, has to be flowers. अगर वो flowers करके file name नहीं होगा तो error आएगा। So this is your imread is your command to read any of the images. Imread is the command. Similar in Python also, we have libraries like OpenCV. Like in Python, we also have command to read the images using the libraries cv2 डॉट, तो पाइथन में जाने से पहले आपको पाइथन का थोड़ा प्रेजेंटेशन देना होगा. Then after you can read the image. So the first line, read the image, then you can check the size of image. Means what is the dimension of the image? What we are talking about? 512, 256 cross 256, 512 cross 512, and accordingly, this image will be converted into grayscale image, and again it will be सब पहली बार में ये 5 लाइन ही लिखें, सब एक साथ मत लिखें, और उसके बाद रिजल्ट देखिए क्या है. कोई भी इमेज गूगल से डाउनलोड करो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा.
उसका नाम चेंज करना था flower.jpg इमेज का.
यहाँ इमेज वन वेरिएबल ले लिया गया ना, ये इमेज इसमें जाएगा, ये यहाँ पे है, प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. सॉफ्टवेयर आपको मिल जाएगा. Just keep on typing. मैटलैब में यही है, सेम फोल्डर में जहाँ पर मैटलैब का फाइल इस फोल्डर में होता है. ये बात हम भूल गए बच्चों don't have the mind. जिनके पास मैटलैब नहीं है वो लेते जाएंगे, और जिनको प्रैक्टिस करना है वो हमसे पीडीएफ बता देंगे ईमेल आईडी थ्रू.
पहले वाले में वाला हाईलाइट करता है.
ये आप देखेंगे कि सब प्लॉट मैंने जानबूझ के चार डाला है ताकि समझाने में ये ठीक है. अगर एक बार में लिख दे तो वो कैसे नहीं, कोऑर्डिनेट नहीं बताएगा वो. ये पूरा ब्लैक बॉक्स है, इसका अपना एक लाइब्रेरी है. मतलब सब प्लॉट का मान डालेंगे, सब प्लॉट में जो है जिस हिसाब से आप डालेंगे उस हिसाब से प्लॉट होगा. आप चाहते हैं कि एक ही फ्रेम में 2 इमेज रहे तो ऐसे रहेगा, एक फ्रेम में 4 इमेजेस ज्यादा होगा तो वो ऐसे रहेगा. 1 2 3 आप 8 भी डाल सकते हैं. सब प्लॉट में आप एक्सेल भी डाल सकते हैं. आप ये दो ऐसे ना चूज करके आप ऐसे भी चूज कर सकते हैं.
flower.jpg है, जो flower.jpg है उस नाम का आपके पास इमेज एक होना चाहिए.
कोई भी इमेज उठा लीजिए और साइज नाम उसका प्राइमरी का
जेपीजी करके और डायरेक्ट इसमें सेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, डायरेक्ट रीड कर
जब आप जहाँ फाइल होगा ना, जहाँ फाइल आप जहाँ टाइप कर रहे हैं, आप जहाँ सेव कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे ये फाइल डाल है। मैटलैब में पास की जरूरत नहीं है, जब कोड चलेगा वो अपने आप फाइल ढूंढ लेगा, वो पास को भी चेंज कर देगा। और अगर कंफ्यूजन है तो
फिर से सुनना।
फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ स्टेटमेंट ये है कि देयर इज अ फाइल हुज नेम इज flowers.jpg। कोई भी इमेज ले लीजिए, टेक एनी ऑफ द इमेजेस, चेंज इट्स नेम टू फ्लावर। जेपीईजी फाइल टाइप होना चाहिए। इसका जो भी मैट्रिक्स बनेगा, मैट्रिक्स मतलब वेरिएबल, दैट विल बी स्टोर्ड इन अ वेरिएबल व्हिच इज नोन एज image1। आपको वहां वेरिएबल का फोल्डर, वेरिएबल एक्सप्लोरर का फोल्डर दिखेगा, ये दिखेगा, आइकन दिखेगा, और यहाँ पे आपको ये डिस्प्ले कर जाएगा। इफ यू विल डबल क्लॉक, if you are going to double click on image 1, you will get all the values of the image। अभी भी नहीं समझ रहे? तो आपका सारा मैट्रिक एक ही तरीके का सिंगल इमेज है क्या? सिंगल कलर है क्या? आप मैट्रिक्स का वैल्यू देखिए, सारा इमेज वैल्यू ये नंबर देखते हैं, ये बता सकते हैं सारा वैल्यू सब एक साथ हो जाएगा। तो इमेज आपको जितने लोगों को मैटलैब सॉफ्टवेयर चाहिए वो इनको बता देंगे। कुछ नहीं ऐसे तो कुछ जहाँ सेव करना है वहाँ कर लीजिए। ये मैटलैब ड्राइव पे चला जाएगा। ये ड्राइव हम लोग पैन ड्राइव करके चला रहे हैं ना, इसलिए ड्राइव में रहने दीजिए। बाकी इसको करने के बाद फील्ड का ड्राइव मान लीजिए, आपका जो भी नाम है बनाना चाहते हैं बना लीजिए, सेव कर दीजिए। अब जो चीज वहाँ लिखा हुआ है उसको यहाँ लिखिए, ठीक है? नहीं वो तो कमांड विंडो में नहीं लिखना, स्क्रिप्ट में लिखिए। इमेज वन से फर्क नहीं पड़ता, वो एक ही नाम का वेरिएबल बनेगा। हम इसको एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर देते हैं। देखिए पहली बार में पूरा कोड एक बार में ना लिखें, whatever the file name is, जो भी फाइल नेम है वो आपको यहाँ लिख देना है। अगर ए है, बी है, फ्लावर्स है, जो भी है। The file extension should be JPG. If not, it is JPG. Change the file extension. .png. The data will be in terms of mathematical numbers, and that will be stored in a variable. That variable here mentioned is image1. Image1 करके एक variable बनेगा, and if you are going to double click on that, you will find the numbers.
तो सर एक फोटो हो जाए, अगर आप हम माउस को बुला लेते हैं तो इसके बाद टी ब्रेक है।
यू विश आप अपना इमेज जो है वो लीफ वाला ले लीजिए और उससे उसको लोड कर दीजिए, ये ज्यादा बेटर है।
अब ऐसे
आई हैव इन्फॉर्म्ड यू द प्लांट नॉलेज डेटा सेट, आप वहां से भी डाउनलोड कर सकते हो।
हाँ जी। आप लोग को टी ब्रेक के बाद आ जाना है, ग्रुप ऑफ फॉर्म कर देंगे और ग्रुप खत्म है ना। सबको बुला लीजिए, जो भी केडिया जी को बोल लीजिए।
एक बार में गड़बड़ कर दिया।
आइए हम ये सब कर लीजिए। आप लोग के लिए प्रोजेक्ट बनाना ये सब चीजों से आसान हो जाएगा, एक आइडिया मिलता है। समय से आइए, इसलिए डिले कर दे रहे हैं आप लोग। हम लोग को सेशन लेट कल परसों कल बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है ना, लेक्चर टाइम जरूर हो जाता है।
वो नहीं है।
फोटो कॉल लेगा। आइए फोटो मैंने
हम नहीं जा रहे हैं, आपको कभी भी दिक्कत हो आप हमसे
कैमरा इधर उधर घुमा दो, सुनो कैमरा घुमा दो, ये सब आपके बंद कर दो, कैमरा को सब घुमा दो सभी लोगों को और उनके बाद रिकॉर्डिंग कर दो।